In this corner, the 1990s. Hand checks, blood and bruises defense, one man ruling the sport like a monarch in black and red. The decade of fear, fists, and 6 rings. And in the opposite corner, the 2000s. Zones legalized, spacing weaponized, global stars flooding the league, tactics layered like chess endgames. Dynasties still formed, but they had to survive rule changes, internet age scrutiny, and a deeper, faster, smarter league. So pick your fighter. If the 90s were a steel cage, the 2000s were a pressure cooker. You didn't just beat your matchup, you solved an equation. Defensive 3 seconds, disguised zones, pace and space, high screen and rolls that never stopped coming. Shaq at his apex, Duncan at his most precise, Kobe at his most ruthless, LeBron rising like a storm front. Detroit turned discipline into a weapon. Phoenix turned speed into a system. San Antonio turned patience into rings. And every night felt like a referendum on what basketball could be. The 90s gave us mythology. The 2000s gave us multiplicity. More ways to win, more styles that worked, more icons sharing the stage, and still producing moments you'll argue about forever. 81, a step over, a 24-point finals comeback, a brawl that forced the league to grow up. So is one era better? Yeah, the 2000s. Not because they erased the 90s, but because they absorbed them and evolved. Toughness didn't die, it got smarter. Skill didn't replace power, it learned to dance with it. Welcome to the decade that bent the game and built the modern NBA. Let's begin. The lock snapped open the day Phil Jackson said yes to Los Angeles. The Zen Master traded River Silence for LA Sirens and walked into the hottest seat in sports. Keep Shaq's dominance roaring, sharpen Kobe's edge, and make 2 supernovas share the same sky. The draft was a warehouse of pieces. Elton Brand had won, Steve Francis and Baron Davis right behind. Odom, Rip, Andre Miller, Sean Marion, Jason Terry, Ron Artest, Andre Karolinko, all future problems. And at pick 57, a skinny lefty from Argentina no one pronounced right, Manu Ginobili, a second-round whisper that would become a decade-long headache. But before the season found its rhythm, the league mourned. Wilt Chamberlain passed in October, Bobby Phills was lost in January, Malik Sealy in May, 3 funerals inside a single season. Every tribute video, every moment of silence felt like a reminder. Nothing is promised, not even tomorrow's tip. On the floor, the triangle took root and then took over. The Lakers rattled off a 19-game win streak, finished 67-15, and looked like a machine built for June. Shaquille O'Neal bulldozed to MVP, one stubborn ballot shy of unanimous, while All-Star Weekend returned the dunk contest just to let Vince Carter turn gravity into a suggestion. The playoffs insisted on pain. Then came Portland, long, deep, fearless. Up 3-1, the Lakers blinked. The Blazers punched back to force Game 7 and then detonated a 15-point fourth-quarter lead in front of a stunned Staples crowd. That's when LA found the switch. Stops stacked on stops. Brian Shaw hit lifeline threes, and with time bleeding out, Kobe knifed the lane and tossed a lob only one man could finish. Shaq's palm found the sky, the dunk found the net, and the building found oxygen again. Indiana waited in the finals, veteran tough and perfectly coached, with Reggie Miller ready to torch anyone who looked at him wrong. LA took the first 2 at home, the Pacers countered. Then came Game 4. Shaq fouled out, pressure spiking, series balance wobbling, and Kobe Bryant, barely 21, closed overtime like he'd been doing it for a decade. Floaters, pull-ups, the kind of calm that turns a kid into a closer. Indiana blew LA out in Game 5 to stall the parade, but Shaq finished the job in 6 with a final stat line you could etch into granite. 38 points, 16-plus boards a night. Dynasty, Stage 1. The lesson of 1999 to 2000 was simple. Systems matter, but stars end arguments. Phil gave the Lakers a language, Shaq and Kobe did the shouting. The Triangle didn't just win it, it announced the 2000s had their first superpower. The 2000 draft didn't shake the earth. Kenyon Martin went first, Stramal Swift and Darius Miles followed. Mike Miller, who'd win Rookie of the Year, landed at 5, and solid pros like Jamal Crawford, Hedu Turkoglu, Quentin Richardson, Jamal McGlory, and second-round steal Michael Redd joined the league. Not a starry class, but the season didn't wait for star power. Philadelphia turned into a grinder under Larry Brown. Bodies on the floor, elbows in the paint, and Allen Iverson beating traps with first steps nobody could time. He led the league in points and steals, while Dikembe Mutombo patrolled the lane. Round 2 was a prize fight, Sixers and Raptors. Iverson hung 54 in Game 2. Vince Carter answered with 50 in Game 3. AI dropped 52 in Game 5. Vince pushed it to 7, flew to graduation that morning, flew back, and got a clean look at the buzzer. Short. Philly by 1. Milwaukee came next. Ray Allen in rhythm, Sam Cassell precise, Glenn Robinson steady. 7 games again. With the season teetering, Iverson summoned 44 in Game 7 and dragged the Sixers to their first final since '83. Out west, the Lakers stopped indulging drama and started erasing opponents. 11-0 to June. Game 1 of the finals belonged to mythology. Iverson scored 48, sealed by the frame burned into memory. The step over, Ty Lue down, AI staring through the lens. That night was his. The series belonged to Shaquille O'Neal. He averaged 33 points, 16 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3.4 blocks on 57%, bending coverages and whistles alike. Kobe Bryant added 24 a night and solved every late clock crisis. Philly stole the opener. Los Angeles took the next 4. Final tally, 15-1 across the postseason. The cleanest rampage the league had seen. Takeaway, 1 game can belong to a myth. 4 wins belong to a machine. Iverson gave us an immortal moment. Shaq and Kobe closed the book. The league changed the board, not just the pieces. Zone defense was legalized, and the defensive 3-second rule arrived, forcing bigs out of the paint and making isolations earn their keep. Scoring got tougher in new ways. You needed reads, counters, and shooters who could punish the soft spots. Michael Jordan returned again, this time in midnight blue. The Wizards had his mind, but not his lift. The fadeaway still sang, the knees didn't. Up north, Vancouver finally became Memphis, and the map of the NBA shifted. The 2001 draft looked balanced more than star-studded. Kwame Brown first, then Tyson Chandler, Pau Gasol, who'd win Rookie of the Year, Eddie Curry, Jason Richardson, Shane Battier, Joe Johnson, Richard Jefferson, Zach Randolph, Gerald Wallace, with late gems Tony Parker at 28 and Gilbert Arenas at 31. Not a glamorous class, an impact class. The playoffs were bifurcated. The East was a chess clock. The West was a bar fight. Boston authored a then-record fourth-quarter rally in Game 3 of the ECF, but New Jersey steadied and took the series in 6. Out west, we got a classic, Kings-Lakers. Sacramento's blend of Weber, Bibby, Peja, and 7 double-figure scores built a 2-1 lead and a 24-point cushion in Game 4, until the floor tilted. A wide scramble, a kickout, and Robert Horry hit the 3 that lives forever. Game 6 turned into a whistle reel. Free throws poured for LA in the 4th, pushing it to Game 7 in Sacramento. 1 game, 1 arena, overtime to decide it. Shaq and Kobe were enormous, Bibby fearless, every possession heavy. The Lakers survived 112-106 and walked into their 3rd straight finals. Against the Nets, it was a mismatch dressed as a series. Shaq averaged 36 and 12, dunking through bodies and history, and the three-peat closed with a sweep. The lesson of 2002? Change the rules if you want. Greatness adapts. The triangle bent with the times, the stars cut through the noise, and the West announced that getting out of it would feel like climbing a mountain in a windstorm. The league got taller and wider, in a single handshake. Yao Ming went first overall, and brought a billion eyes with him. He sold out arenas, swarmed media rooms, and in his first duel with Shaq, blocked him 3 straight times. By February, the rookie was starting the All-Star game, outvoting the most dominant center alive. The season doubled as a long goodbye. Michael Jordan, now in Wizards blue, didn't have the lift, but still had the footwork, the reads, the fade. All-Star Weekend turned into a tribute. Vince Carter ceded his starting spot, and the game needed double overtime to let the moment breathe. Elsewhere, Kobe Bryant detonated from deep, hitting a then-record 12 threes in one night and stacking 9 straight 40-point games, second only to Wilt. The stylistic tug-of-war was real, pace slowed, contact was heavy, and every bucket felt earned. Tracy McGrady still led the league at 32.1, a number bigger than it looks in this era's mud. The East creaked. Detroit topped the conference with 50 wins, while the Spurs hummed at 60. Methodical and mean. Playoffs. The Lakers' three-peat armor finally cracked. San Antonio sent them home, then outlasted Dallas to reach the finals. Waiting there, New Jersey, long on speed and structure, short on firepower. The series was low-octane, tied 2-2 before the best player alive decided it. In Game 6, Tim Duncan authored a near myth, 21 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, 8 blocks, controlling everything without raising his voice. The Spurs closed, Duncan grabbed a second Finals MVP, and David Robinson walked into retirement with one last parade, arm around the younger half of the Twin Towers. The verdict, 2003 proved you can slow the game, change the rules, and muddy the lanes. IQ and execution will still cut through. Yao opened the door to the world. MJ took his final bow, and Duncan showed the blueprint. Precision over panic, possession by possession, till the champagne pops. The map changed again. Charlotte returned as the Bobcats. 6 divisions of 5 rolled out, and schedules got rewired. The headlines, though, were pure volatility. In Dallas, Mark Cuban let Steve Nash walk. In Phoenix, Mike D'Antoni handed Nash a turbo engine. The result was a manifesto. 7 seconds or less, early threes, spread pick and roll, rim runs, repeat. The Suns jumped plus 33 wins to 62. D'Antoni took Coach of the Year, and Nash collected his first MVP. Then came November 19, 2004 in Auburn Hills. A hard foul, a cup of beer, Ron Artest on the scorer's table, then in the stands. Steven Jackson right behind him. The malice at the palace detonated the sport's worst instincts on national TV. Suspensions reigned, and the league rewrote security and discipline overnight. The rest of the year was a jumble of signature feats. Tracy McGrady scored 13 points in 35 seconds to steal a game from San Antonio. Playoffs, Phoenix blazed through the Grizzlies and Mavs, but Tim Duncan and the Spurs smothered the tempo in the West Finals. In the East, Detroit outlasted rival Indiana. Reggie Miller's last stand, then handled Miami in 7 to set up a champion versus champion clash. The finals were a vice grip. Scores lived in the 80s and 90s, margins razor thin. Robert Horry authored another legend with a Game 5 dagger. Detroit forced Game 7, and then the best player on earth decided it. Duncan put up 25 and 11 in the decider. Spurs in 7, and a third Finals MVP for Tim. Phoenix had changed the pace. San Antonio still owned the clock. The league put on a suit and raised the bar. David Stern's dress code arrived. Business casual on game nights. No more tunnel mixtapes. And the age limit kicked in for the next draft. 19 years old or a year removed from high school. Image and pipeline both tightened. On the floor, pure chaos and brilliance. Kobe Bryant authored a night that still feels impossible. 81 points against Toronto. Pull-ups, post-work, drives, a one-man avalanche. He finished the year with 35.4 a game and his first scoring title. LeBron took All-Star MVP at just 21. Ray Allen reset the single-season threes record at 269. The Spurs and Pistons were the only 60-win teams. The entire Central Division made the playoffs. Spring turned cinematic. Out west, Phoenix, without Amari, erased a 3-1 deficit against the Lakers, surviving Kobe's Game 4 dagger and a 50-piece in Game 6 to take the series in 7. Dallas finally solved San Antonio in a grueling 7-gamer. Dirk at peak serenity, then handled the Suns to reach their first finals. In the East, LeBron won his first series over Washington, but Detroit ended Cleveland's run in 7, only to be out-toughed by Miami. Dwayne Wade and Shaq pushed past the Pistons in 6, and suddenly it was Mavs Heat for everything. Dallas blitzed to 2-0 and led double digits late in Game 3. Then Wade happened. 15 in the fourth, series flipped. He hung 36 in Game 4, 43 in Game 5, and 36 to close in Game 6. Final line, 34.7 PPG, and Finals MVP. Miami's first title. The series opened with an experiment, a microfiber ball that players hated on sight. Complaints piled up, grip, bounce, even skin cuts. So by New Year, the league retreated to leather. The chaos didn't stop there. December at the Garden turned ugly. Knicks Nuggets erupted. All 10 players were tossed, and Carmelo Anthony drew a 15-game suspension. 3 days later, Denver traded for Allen Iverson. Kobe Bryant changed from 8 to 24 and then went supernova in March. 4 straight 50-point games, 10 50-plus nights on the year, and another scoring title at 31.6. In Las Vegas, the NBA held its first All-Star in a non-NBA city. Kobe took MVP. Regular season supremacy belonged to Dallas, 67 wins. Dirk Nowitzki as the league's first European MVP. Awards circled the West. Marcus Camby, DPOY. Leandro Barbosa, Sixth Man. Monta Ellis, Most Improved. Out east, Detroit set the pace. Cleveland waited for its opening. The playoffs detonated a legend. 8th-seeded Golden State, small, fearless, and loud, toppled Dallas 4-2 behind Baron Davis, Steven Jackson, and a building that felt like a jet engine. Elsewhere, San Antonio and Phoenix clashed in a series remembered for a hip check and the costly suspensions of Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw for stepping off the bench. The Spurs advanced, then handled Utah to reach another finals. In the East, LeBron James authored his signature breakthrough. Game 5 in Detroit, 29 of Cleveland's last 30 points, 48 total, and a double overtime win that felt like a coronation. The Cavs closed it in 6 and made their first finals. There, experience smothered momentum. San Antonio swept Cleveland 4-0. The games were closer than the broom suggests, but the ending wasn't in doubt. Tony Parker, relentless in the paint, became the first European Finals MVP. The moral of 2007, innovation can wobble, but execution rules, and the West's gauntlet will break you before June if your seams aren't tight. One summer flipped the board. Boston pulled off a front office heist twice. First, Ray Allen, then Kevin Garnett. And overnight, the Celtics went from lottery dust to sledgehammer. Defense became a creed. Thibodeau's shell, KG's voice, Pierce's shot-making, Ray's spacing. The result was historic. Plus 42 wins, 24-66. The largest single-season turnaround ever. The Lakers countered mid-season with the move that tilted the West. Pau Gasol for a care package that included the rights to his brother. Across the desert, Phoenix chased size by swapping Sean Marion for Shaq, which jammed their fast-break bloodstream. Dallas reloaded with Jason Kidd. The conference stiffened to steel, so much so that all 8 West playoff teams won 50-plus games, while the 48-win Warriors watched from home. HardWood time. Kobe Bryant finally bagged MVP, 28-6-5 on the West's top seed. Kevin Garnett took DPOY for anchoring Boston's fortress. The playoffs gave us classics on both coasts. Cleveland, Boston went 7, with Pierce versus LeBron trading haymakers in a Game 7 duel for the vault. The Celtics then handled Detroit in 6 to return to the finals for the first time since '87. In the West, the Lakers swept Denver, pushed past Utah, and outlasted the Spurs to reach a record 29th finals. Then the marquee lit, Celtics-Lakers, Game 1. Paul Pierce disappears in a wheelchair and reappears raining jumpers. Game 4, LA leads by 24. Boston drags the series by the collar and steals it. The largest finals comeback since '71. Game 6 was a coronation by Avalanche, 131-92, the biggest clincher margin ever. Pierce hoisted finals MVP, KG screamed the decade's slogan, anything was possible, and Boston's 17th banner rose. Takeaway? Culture beats chaos. The Celtics built an identity in months and ended a rivalry chapter with authority. The arms race was on, and June demanded two things: stars and a system. A franchise vanished, and a new one roared to life. On July 2nd, the Seattle Supersonics officially became the Oklahoma City Thunder, inheriting history, but changing zip codes. The league also widened the microscope, expanded instant replay to confirm 2s versus 3s, new era, new angles. The 2008 draft dealt future pillars. Derrick Rose went number 1 to his hometown Bulls and would take Rookie of the Year. Michael Beasley at 2, O.J. Mayo at 3, then the shock absorbers of the next decade, Russell Westbrook at 4 and Kevin Love at 5, plus Danilo Gallinari, Eric Gordon, Brook Lopez, Roy Hibbert, Serge Ibaka, DeAndre Jordan, and a second-round gem, Goran Dragic. The season turned into a highlight reel of broken dials. Carmelo Anthony tied the all-time mark with 33 and a quarter. Orlando drilled a then-record 23 threes in a single game. All-Star Weekend hit Phoenix, where Kobe and Shaq shared co-MVP and a warm full-circle embrace. Hardware, LeBron James earned his first MVP. Dwayne Wade won the scoring title. Dwight Howard doubled up. Rebounds, blocks, plus DPOY. The playoffs were cinematic chaos. Boston, Chicago delivered an all-timer in round 1. 7 games, 4 OTs across the series. A slugfest without KG. Denver blasted New Orleans by 58 in Game 4, tying the largest playoff margin ever, and reached its first WCF since 1985. Houston took LA to 7 without Yao, all heart and hard fouls. In the East, it looked like Cleveland's year, until Orlando paced the floor. Hidu and Richard hit daggers, and even LeBron's Game 2 buzzer triple couldn't tilt the math. The finals belonged to clarity. Kobe Bryant played the steadiest basketball of his life. 32.4 points, 7.4 assists, timely daggers. And the Lakers beat the Magic in 5. Phil Jackson lifted ring number 10, passing red. The decade that began in uncertainty closed with a familiar image: gold confetti, purple jerseys, and a superstar who had climbed from prodigy to patriarch, trophy in hand. Here's the truth most debates dodge. The 90s didn't die, and the 2000s didn't erase them. The two eras are locked in a stare-down that built the sport you love. The 90s carved the face on basketball's Mount Rushmore. Hand checks, hard fouls, one monarch in red turning fear into trophies. The 2000s rewired the building. Zones, spacing, global stars, a dozen ways to win. And cameras catching everything. One era crowned a king, the other created the kingdom. The modern game still rules. So, who wins? Depends on what you value when the clock hits 24. If your gospel is intimidation, bus rides into hostile arenas, games scored in the 80s, and legends forged through contact, then the 90s is your scripture. If your creed is problem-solving, schemes you can't cheat, pace you can't rest against, and stars who weaponized math, then the 2000s is your anthem. Look around the league today. Motion that echoes San Antonio, pace that nods to Phoenix. Wings who grew up on Kobe and LeBron. Bigs who space like Rashid and finish like Amore. The 90s gave us mythology. The 2000s taught us methodology. Together, they made the blueprint. So, here's our verdict. Hung jury on purpose. Because the game is richer when the argument lives. Roll the clips, Vince at the rim, AI step over, Horry at the horn, Wade in June, Pierce versus LeBron, Kobe with the glare, and tell us what it all adds up to. Drop your ruling in the comments. 90s grit or 2000s genius? Who's your era and why? And if you made it this far, you're part of the court. Subscribe, ring the bell, and bring your best case to the next trial. Court adjourned.